Hello everyone, welcome to the session. So in this video, we will be talking about array-based data structure. You will observe that in this upcoming part of the video, I am attaching a recording of the session which I have taken last week in the live DSA paid course. So those who are not really aware about this fact, on 16th Jan 2024, I have launched my own DSA using Python programming batch. So basically, if you will be able to observe, many people have asked from me that what is the major difference between this live paid course versus the recordings which are available on your YouTube channel with respect to that DSA using Python programming playlist. So ये जो मैंने वीडियो अटैच किया है that is only to give you an idea that how the things will be going on in the live versus what usually happens when we will be delivering a recorded paste video with respect to the same topic. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो I will be talking about the array in very detail, okay? और in between I am also talking about the interview based questions. We all will be doing the implementation for those questions. I'll be trying to explain the concepts behind that. There's a lot of interaction which is going on in between. You will listen the voice of the students also who is participating in this particular batch. So completely recording is available now. I really want you guys to check it out, है ना? और अगर फिर भी किसी को डाउट है, क्योंकि मेरे पास बहुत सारे मेल्स आ रहे हैं, बहुत सारे लिंक्डइन पे मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं दैट we are looking to buy this course, whether we should buy now or we should wait for the next launch of the course. So I'm not really sure that at what point of time I will launch the upcoming batch, as just only 1 week has passed and the recordings are also available. So I would suggest you all that first of all check it out, how the flow is going on, whether you will be able to understand this kind of a flow or not. It's kind of a demonstration for everyone with respect to this session. And then if you feel like that, okay, you are comfortable with the pace and the things, how they are going on, so please do participate and try to enroll it as soon as possible without any further delay, because as soon as the count will become 50, I'll stop the enrollments as well. First of all, if you remember, in the very first session, we have talked about regarding data structures. It's the very first data structure which we are discussing today. So what is the meaning of a data structure? I hope everyone is already aware about this fact. Data structure meaning that what are the tools that we have in order to structure our data, right? In order to organize our data. And if you remember, I have talked about two major data structures. Do you remember that? What are those two?
Linear and non-linear.
Linear, non-linear.
One is the linear based data structure and another one is the non-linear based data structure. Now, what is the meaning of a linear data structure? Anyone who can tell me?
There is some sort of sequence involved. Sequence in it.
Some sort of sequence in it, right? The nodes, the data points are stored in a linear fashion, sequential fashion. The very first data structure which we will start today is an array. Okay? And whenever we are talking about array, in Python, what is the another form of an array in Python? We call it as a
list.
Yes. We do have a proper concept of 1D array, 2D array in Python. And to get that computations easy, we have something called as a NumPy package also. But maybe in future classes, we will talk about that thing. But as of now, let's start with a very basic thing, considering that there are many people who are maybe not aware about the basic foundations and fundamentals of arrays. So I'll take that into ground. And after that, step by step, we will today move forward towards the interview-based questions and what are the different variety of questions which we can have in doing the implementation of array-based data structure. Okay. So whenever we're talking about arrays, first of all, it says that the data will be stored in a contiguous manner. What is the meaning of this? Let's try to understand. For example, here we will be having a This is called as an array, where in a contiguous fashion, the data will be stored. What is the meaning of this? For example, I want to store a data of int type, integer type. So what will happen? Let's say 2 is there, 4, 6, 7, 9, 12, 15, 20. So what is happening is, let's assume that int takes individual value to store as a 4 byte. And let's say that initially the address, obviously, maybe it's starting, base address is starting from 0. So it will, or maybe it starting from 100. So if I'll ask you, what is the next address of this element 4? What will be your answer?
104.
Yes, it is 1 or 4. What is the next address? It will be 108. So basically, this is the simple meaning of when I'm saying that the data is stored in a contiguous manner. Means there is no as such gap in between. Everything is stored in a contiguous fashion. Okay. So this is the very first element address is called as a base address. And here I have hypothetically taken an example that base address is 100. It is depending on the machine.
These are not indexes. What are these? Like
this is the addresses. Address of an element. Address. Every location has its own memory address, right? Memory address. And hypothetically, we assume that maybe the memory address of 2 is 100. So what I'm saying is, what is the meaning of this contiguous manner is that everything will be in a structured form and next element will be stored just after 2. So address will be like 100 plus 4, 104, considering that every integer is taking 4 bytes. Now, every element is recognized by its index number, which is by default will start from 0. So here, if you will be able to observe, 2 is having an index number 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So if we will be having number of elements n as 8, so always remember your index number will always from 0 to n minus 1. By default, it will always start from 0. Now let's say your array name is arr and you want to access any element in the array. You want to access any element in the array. So how can you access? For example, let's say I want to access the element 12. So the simple way is you will say what is the array name, which is arr, and inside the bracket, you will write the index number, which is 5. So you will say arr of 5. And this will result you the answer as 12. Is this clear to everyone? So every element can be accessed by its index number in an array. Is that part is fine to everyone? For example, if let's say I want to access the element 20, how can I access? I will say arr of
7.
7. Yashasvi is saying, is memory and base address both concepts are same? No. Memory address meaning every element is having its own memory address. Base address meaning the address of first element in an array. First element in an array address is called as a base address. This is the base address, with the help of which you will be able to determine the address of the upcoming elements very easily. Is this clear? Yashasvi?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's move ahead now. If I'll ask you, okay, this is fine. Arr of 7 will be equals to 20. If I'll ask you that, what is the time complexity? What is the, now see, because we already have concluded our analysis module. So please make sure today I will ask so many questions with respect to this part. You have to give me the answer now because I am assuming that already everyone is having a great understanding about the complexity part. So if I'll ask you that in an array, if we want to access any element, given its index number, given that which element I want to access, what is the time complexity?
Order of 1.
Of 1.
Very good. It will be of
Constant.
1. What is called it as? Very good. Constant. It is a constant time complexity task. Because am I using any loop? No, I'm not using any loop. I'm just directly passing my index number to access any of the element available in my array. Is this part is clear to everyone? Darshan said it's big O of n. No. If I'm accessing an element, it is just I'm passing an index number and I'm getting that element. That's why it's constant. It's not linear. Linear is a different case, which we will step by step come that point also. But this is a constant thing. If someone will ask you in an interview also, I hope you will be able to answer it now very clearly. Any doubt till so far? Anyone? So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, usually when this array concept came into picture, the idea was that all the homogeneous elements will be stored at one place. What is the meaning of that? For example, all the integer type elements will come into one place. Ya fir all the float type elements will come into one place. All the characters will come into one place, right? Different elements will not place together. For example, initially I'm saying in the arrays, for example, character, string, all those things will not come together. But when we're talking about Python programming, it gives us that flexibility. So if you will be able to observe in a list, you can store a heterogeneous elements also. So I'm saying that here two terms, homogeneous elements and heterogeneous elements. I hope you will be able to get my point. What is the meaning of this? Homogeneous versus heterogeneous elements. Homogeneous means having a same data type. So initially when the concept of arrays came, that is the plan, that is the idea. In Java, in C++, if you will be able to observe in an arrays, usually similar type of elements we are storing. Specifically in Python, when the list concept came into picture, we have that flexibility that we can store a different data type elements as well. That is the point number one. Very, very important point. Next important point is that initially in an arrays, there was only a concept of static array. Static array. What is the meaning of this? Any idea, anyone?
Fixed locations.
Fixed locations, very good. In an array, it simply indicates that initially we have to define the size of an array and then we can insert the elements. That was the idea again. So there was a fixed size, I would say, fixed size which we need to define. And then we can insert the elements. But when Python came into picture, they came up with a concept of dynamic array. That's why if you will be able to observe, in list we have an option of dot append. And we can append as many elements as we want without defining the size itself. In the static array, because we have a fixed size, if you will try to insert more than that size, you will observe out of index bound error. Right? And that kind of issue you will not face in the dynamic array, because as the name itself suggests, dynamic means that at the runtime itself, you can increase or decrease the size of the array. Now you can ask me a question that how is this happening internally? Like we are not defining it. Then how is this internally? My memory in specifically Python programming is taking care of this thing. We will talk about that. But the simple literal meaning is that static array, there is a fixed size. In dynamic array, there is a flexibility to change the size of the array at runtime. That is the simple meaning in runtime. And this is what is happening specifically in the Python programming language. We are talking about the features of this programming language, which we are covering up. Is this part is clear to everyone? If we have two complexities, constant and linear. Which should we choose? Which is better? I am a bit confused about it. Anyone who wants to explain this part? From the last session, I think many people can answer this question. Vikas has already answered already, but still, any explanation for the same? Why big O of 1 is the better one?
Well, it's constant, so no matter what the input is, it will take the same, like similar amount of time to run. It's not dependent on the size of the input.
Very good. So basically, linear, as the name suggests, big O of n, it depends on the value of n. When you increase it, it will increase, time will increase. When you decrease the value of n, time will decrease. But when you're saying big O of 1 means it is not dependent on any external factor n, right? So just yesterday only we have seen the complexity chart also in the increasing order I have shown you. I hope you have received the notes as well for the same. So basically, if you will be able to observe, there also I have clearly mentioned that when we move down, first of all, constant came, then logarithmic, then linear. So linear is bigger one. Is there any advantage of using static memory? Yeah, please ask the question.
Yeah, so we should choose the small complexity, like greater complexity we should not choose, okay?
Yes. We always want, as an ideal case, lower time complexity.
Okay.
As well as lower space complexity, which we will talk in today's session.
Yes.
Both of them should be lesser. That's what we want, right?
Okay.
Is there any advantage of using static memory? Yes, we will talk about this thing only now. First of all these things are clear. The differences between currently Python programming versus what was happening with the other languages. Is this fine? Although in other languages, for example, in Java, we have a concept of dynamic arrays, okay? Array list is a class which implements dynamic array concept. But by default, when you define the array, it will be a static one only, which you will define. But anyhow, when you're talking about Python, when you instantiate the list, it will always be dynamic one. Means you can change the size of the array at runtime. Now, Vikas asked a very good question that we're talking about here static and dynamic thing. Is there any impact which will happen? Or which one is better? Like the previous programming languages like Java and C++, which by default is using the concept of a fixed size, or this Python programming, which is using a concept of dynamic array. Any guesses? Anyone?
Static is better.
What's the reason behind that?
Because
the memory block is fixed. So you know how much amount of size will be occupied in the memory, so it will not exceed that size.
Very good. That's the very much apt reason. And that's why you will observe that it is always mentioned that whenever you are writing a code, it would be great if you are working with C++ or Java. Specifically in competitive programmings like CodeChef, CodeRank, at that point of time, what usually happens is that we are beating with the time in milliseconds. Let's say if you are going for some competition, some coding based competition, that is where for the interviews, it's completely fine. Whichever programming language you prefer, that particular programming language you can go. But if let's say in future you are going to some competition and you are beating with a separate teams, and let's say that competition is a coding based competition, and there is some of your friend who is writing the similar logic in Java or C++, and you're writing the same logic in Python. The thing is that it might be the case that your code will take more time as comparable to his or her code. The only reason is that there a fixed memory size allocation is there. Python by default dynamic is there, and because of its dynamic version, it is bit slow as comparable to those languages. Now let me tell you the internal reason behind the same. One thing is that okay, here we will be having dynamic size, it will keep on changing. That's the very irritating thing at some point of time, because it increases the time. But what is the advantage which as a developer is also finding out, and that's why nowadays the people who are also from non-programming background are also very easily do a code with the help of this Python programming. So let's try to understand this point now. What is happening internally with respect to dynamic array is what this particular programming language is doing. Let's assume that they are trying to create by default whenever someone will instantiate a list, a space of, let's say, 10 size. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So initially, let's assume that we will be having a space of this 10 elements, okay? That is the allocation that we have. So what usually happens is, let's say someone starts entering the elements inside this list. Let's say he enters 2, then 6, 12, 23, 34, 56, 67, 79, 49, 88. Now what will happen is, at a point when the user starts entering the next number, which is let's say 99, because it is having a feature of dynamic array, what it will do is, it will try to create now a new list. For example, this is list 1, which you have created initially. Internally, user will not do anything. Internally, what will happen? New list will be created after some point of time. And the size of the new list will be the previous list size, which was 10 into 2, double of that, which is 20. So what will happen is, there will be again new list completely will be created of size 20, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, until you can say the last index number will be 19, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 19, means we will be having 20 spaces here. So what will happen? First of all the elements, first step is creation of a new list, creation of new list of size double, right? Size will be double. And second thing is copy of all elements to the new list. So whatever be the new list will be created, all the elements from this 2 to 88 will get copied down to, and whatever be the values we have, 2, 6, 12, 23, step by step, all the elements will get copied till 88. Let's say here is the index number 9. And then the next element, which I want to insert, or which the user want to insert, which is 99, will be there. Can you imagine how much is the slow process is this? Halaki, we are not doing anything. Internally, the complete Python programming is doing all these things. But what is happening here is that this is something which makes a major delay in doing a internal task whenever someone is changing some sort of values. And at that point of time, he or she wants to add few more numbers. Internally, these things are happening. And at the end of the day, you will be able to have a full-fledged array, full-fledged list. No data will get lost. So what will happen? The initial list, there is by default again a garbage collector, which will completely remove all these things and remove the space allocation which was there in the list 1. So this is how basically we will be able to get that creation of a dynamic list. That was the complete concept behind this. And this causes a delay in terms of the response time of the code. Overall complexity, time complexity wise, everything will remain same, whether you are doing in Python or you are doing in C++ or Java. But in terms of response time, means if you're talking about a post-trade analysis, how much milliseconds it is required to execute a code, at that point of time, you will observe that Python is taking a bit longer as comparable to other programming languages. Is this part is clear to everyone? How the
I just
working of dynamic array is going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that you said that even though user wants to insert an element, so it is the case that it will always create a new list of their size which is double with of the previous one.
When this is almost about to complete, there is something called as a concept of a load factor, which I will talk about in great detail in future. So what usually happens is it will keep on checking that how much is the load value, how much is the load factor of my initial list or the array that I have. At any point of time, if this load factor is more than 0.8, means if my 80% of the list is fulfilled, at that point of time, it starts doing this process of creating a new list internally and then copying all the elements so that user will not face difficulty of adding further elements inside the list.
No, size will be doubled always, like, or
Size will be
it
double
may.
always, double. For example, now same issue will happen here, but here the size is 20, right? So when the new list will be created, the size will be 20 into 2, which is 40. And so on. This is how the continuity will be going on.
Okay, so I just wanted to understand that though that sizes will be always double, right?
Yes,
Okay.
will always be
While
double.
while
Previous
creation
size
of the
into 2.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Vikas is saying one question, and this is, let's say I initialize an array of 250 bytes, but I use only 100 of those 250 bytes. So the remaining 150 bytes gets wasted, right? So in these kind of situations, dynamic memory allocation might be better. That is when you don't know how much space you need. See, when you don't know how much space is actually required, there are further data structures also we have. For example, linked list is something which is a better approach to do. More than this dynamic array, it is much, much faster as comparable to this dynamic array also. See, what is happening in this dynamic array? The same issue is happening here also, which you're talking in the static array part. If you will be able to observe, let's say ki, I want to store 21 elements only. I want to store 21 elements only. In order to store 21 elements, again, I will have to somehow create my, internal memory will create 40 size array, right? Because 20 will be stored here. Then the same process will happen. It will create a new list, size 40, only 21 elements are there. So this issue can be in both of the arrays, whether it be a static one or it be a dynamic one, right? So at any point of time when you are actually genuinely not aware about the data points, how much huge the size is, it would be preferred to go for a linked list. I'll talk about that also, that at what point of time we should go for arrays, at what point of time we should go for a linked list. What's the advantage of arrays? What's the advantage of linked list? Once we will be, move towards those concepts of linked list as well. Is that making sense? Shall we move ahead now? Okay. So we have talked about until so far what is an array. Then we have talked about what is a base address. We have talked about how we will be able to access any element in an array. We have talked about what is the meaning of contiguous memory allocation in an array. I hope that that part is also clear to everyone. Then the complexity to access any element. Then we have talked about the difference between what is current happening in the Python programming versus the previous programming languages that we have. And then we have talked about the concept of dynamic array, which is available only as of, not only, I would say, which is available by default in Python programming. That would be the correct way to say this. So we have talked about what's the internal intuition behind the same. Okay. Now, let's take few questions of arrays, and then we will step by step move ahead with respect to the applications of this data structure. And in real time, where this data still is widely used. See, it's not that arrays are used everywhere. If that is the case, why we have linked list, why we have stack queue or further trees and graphs, right? So every particular data structure has its own pros and cons. And whenever I am teaching you these data structures or algorithms, what you have to understand out of this session is that what is the real-time application of these. That is the only advantage of learning this DSA. You have to understand, you should have that understanding in your head that at what point of time I should go for which particular data structure. So let's talk about, first of all, very general questions on arrays, which are very widely asked in interviews, followed by the applications of the same, where we will talk about the searching and sorting algorithm step by step. So shall we move ahead? I'll talk about, first of all, very basic question of array, which is very widely asked, and there is a very standard approach of interviews which you have to answer in this case, and that is about the reversal of an array or reversal of a list, one and the same thing. Reversal of a list. For example, let's say कि I will provide you array, okay, or a list, and in the same thing I am referring here. And it is having elements like 2, 1, 7, 9, 12, 4. Now you know every element defined by its index number with 0 index by default, right? So here we will be having in total 6 number of elements, right? What I am looking for, if let's say if a user will input this kind of a list, what we are looking for is an output as a reverse list, which is what we are expecting is 4, 12, 9, 7, 1, and 2. That is the expectation. I hope you're getting my point. Simple reversal, if you will be able to observe, we have done here. So how we will solve this problem?
We can take for loop
Okay, then what
for
will
I
happen?
for I in range of length of L2 minus 1 comma minus 1. Simply we can take an other array L dot append of array of I. It will complete the time complexity is order of n.
Okay, just do one thing because that way everyone will not able to understand your approaches. What you guys can do is you can open a Google Colab. I hope everyone is aware about this platform. Just open Google Colab. And the very first link, just open it in your system. Many people are using a slicing operation also. We will talk about this step by step. This is also correct. So what you can do is just open a new notebook, click here and open a new notebook in the Colab. Once you open this, you will be able to get a complete file. Okay, Colab file you will be able to get something like this. And here, just rename this file with some name. Let's say ki you can also write it down array underscore data structure underscore 18th gen. We are studying this part. And then we are covering up this question, right? Write a function to reverse a given list. So basically today I want to teach you a 2-pointer approach, which is very, very helpful in order to solve multiple problems. It's a very standard approach in an interviews. But before jumping towards that approach, what is that approach is saying? I really want you all to implement with respect to whatever thought is coming in your head. I hope everyone is clear that what we're supposed to do is take some input. So first of all, you need to write a driver code, right? Inside that, take a array. Let's take a same array, which I'm writing here, 1, 4, 6, 8, and 11. Okay? 6, 8, and 11. And what we want to do is, we want to do a reverse operation. So call this function reverse, take array arr, okay? And let's say you are storing this inside the variable named result. And I want to print this result, which takes the reversal of the array. Now, the main thing which we have to do is a function definition. We need to define this function, right? So in Python, we used to define a function with the name of def. So def reverse. Inside this, we have a parameter of array. Now here, you need to write your own code. Write your own code. Let me do one thing. Let me share this Colab file in the chat window. You can also open this and copy this part, which I am writing it down here. And then just focus on the logic. Don't focus on remaining things. Just focus on the logic, that what is the logic I will write in this code block in order to reverse my array. Let me tell you, there are multiple approaches to do the reversal operation. So 2-pointer approach is one of the approach which I want to talk about, because there are multiple problems apart from this reversal, which you can solve with this approach. So, but apart from this, what are the several approaches we have to do reversal? Let's talk about that. Once you implement that, share your code with me. Share your code with me in the chat window.
I mean, Priya, do we need to do the implementation in the link which you've shared?
No. There you cannot edit it. It's just a view access. Do it in your collab file and share
Okay.
that with me.
Where to get the screen like this collab?
Just now I told you, right? In the Chrome, just type Google Colab.
Mhm.
Open the file, very first link. If you will open this, you will get this kind of a screen. Just open this new notebook. Open this new notebook.
Yeah.
Once you will open this, you will get this kind of a screen. Connect this, and then start writing a code. You can just copy from my collab file this particular part and then start writing a code.
Okay.
So the more we practice writing this particular code part, better you will be able to, have that confidence in terms of doing the DSA based questions. So from today onwards, whether it be assignment, whether it be a live classes, we will try to solve as many coding problems as we can. That is the ultimate target which we have to achieve rather than focusing just on the theoretical concepts. We will more incline towards the solving the interview questions, because that is what is the real focus in these 2 months to get you prepared for the interviews. So this is a very widely asked question. Till now, many interviewers usually ask this question of reversing a given list. That's where they start the conversation of DSA. If let's say someone is already confused in doing this particular task, it's a very easy level problem, then obviously they will just skip the conversation. Otherwise, if you will be doing it efficiently by explaining to them that what is the time and the space complexity of your code, then they will move ahead and ask you further medium level problems, right? Okay, so many people have given me logic, and I would say everyone's logic is somehow correct. Okay, one important thing to note here, which I forgot to mention, is that whenever we are talking about array or list in Python, one way to access the elements is the index numbers starting from left to right. And by default, it will start from 0. Just now I have talked about, right? In Python, we have another way to access the elements as well, which is the last element will be accessed with the index number -1. So there is a negative indexing also there, which is only available in Python. -2 is the last second element, -3 is the last third, -4, -5, -6, -7, and -8. For example, if I'll give you a very simple example of a list, let's say that I will define one list 1. Okay. And here I will be having element like 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13. Now, if I'll say, what is this list 1 of, let's say 2? What do you think is the answer?
6.
List 1 of 2 is 6, right? By default, it will start from 0. Okay, is there any session which is going on? Perfect. I think now it will run. Okay. So let's try to run this. We will be able to get the answer as 6. Perfect. Now if I'll say list 1 of -1. So what answer we will be able to get?
13.
What answer we will be able to get?
13.
13. So by default, it will access directly the last element in the list. Perfect. Now, including this approach, the simple and simplest approach, which many people have shared in the chat window also, that is the slicing operation. If I'll say list 1 of anyone who can tell me what is this slicing operation is doing, anyone who is having an idea, simplest way to do a reversal of a list is this only in Python. If you will be able to observe, this is the list we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13. And what we will be able to get is 13, 12, 8, 6, 4, and 2. A complete reversal of that. Now, what is this we are doing? Any idea?
So
anyone?
we can take a sub-array out of the list. So the first, like there are two columns here, then 3 parameters. First one is starting index, second one is end index, and third one is what would be the step. In this case, if we give it -1, then it will like take it in the reverse order.
Yes. So basically what is happening here, by default, the starting index, it will start from, so let me go below. So what is happening here? What you are saying in this, by saying this arr of colon, colon, and -1, what you are saying? You are saying start from this point, this position, from 5. Go until, by default, it will go -1 because the last value is not included. So it will stop here. So what is happening is you are trying to tell a backward loop. And by which step size you want to do a decrement? -1. So -1, -1, -1, -1 it will do until it reaches to a 0. So what will happen? You will be able to get, first of all, 4. Then it will do -1, you will get 12. It will do -1, you will get 9. Then it will do -1, you will get 7, then 1, and then 2. For example, if I'll do arr, let's say, colon, colon in -2. Anyone who can tell me what is the answer I will be able to get in this case?
491.
Does everyone agrees with
2.
me? Someone is saying I will be able to get 4, 9, and 1.
Yes.
Is this correct?
12,
1, 9, and 4.
2, 7 column.
This is the array. This is the array.
Okay.
So if I'll just apply this operation, if I applied that operation, I got this thing. This is the output. If I applied this operation, what is the answer I will be able to get?
12, 7,
12, 7, 2.
1, 7, 9, 12, 4.
Everyone is giving different answer.
It's 12, 7, I think.
Okay, let me write it down. Someone is saying 12, 7. This is option number A. Option number B is 12, 7. Any option number C? Think
12,
over it.
7.
This is the array we have. We are doing -2.
Yeah, so it will be 1, 7, 9, 12, 4. Like.
It will be 1, 7, 9, 12, and 4. Any other answer?
It's like 12, 4, 2, 1, 7.
12, 7, 2.
Okay, let me just implement it and then we will see. We will be having 2, 1, 7, 9, 12, 4, right? So we will be having a list 2, which is 2, 1, 7, 9, 12, and 4. What I am saying is I will do list 2, starting, and then -2. It's very simple, isn't it? The person who said 491 in the very starting is correct. Why people are saying, I don't know, 12, 7, 1, 7, 9, 12, 4. There are some random answers also going on. Just now, I have explained you that what is the interpretation of this code. What I told you, by default, because it is a negative sign. So what is, it's called as a slicing operation. Try to understand what is happening in this operation. So in normal Java programming or C++, what do you usually do? You will apply this kind of a loop, right? For I is equals to n minus 1, I greater than equal to 0, I minus minus. I hope you guys must have done this task, everyone, in other programming languages. And then you are scanning the arrow of I thing. Have you done this?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly,
Yeah.
when I'm saying colon minus 2, I am saying I is equals to I minus 2. Everything will remain same. That is the interpretation of the same thing. I'm applying a for loop and saying now decrement the value by minus 2. So what will happen? It will start from 5. It will print the value at 5. 4 will be printed. Okay? Now what will happen? It will jump by minus 2. So what is the next element? It will skip 12, print 9. Then skip 7, print 1. Then skip 2, further no element is available. So 491 is the correct answer. If I will do something like this, list 2, colon, what is the answer I will be able to get?
Entire list.
Entire list, yeah.
Any other answer? Okay. What is the answer I will be able to get in this case?
It will start
2
first
steps from
include.
starting.
Give me the list result. What is
2,
the list
7,
I will
12.
7 and 12.
2, 7 and 12.
Yes, very good. So when you will be having a positive number, what will happen? It will start from left side. And by default, two-step increment will happen. So when there is a negative number, back side it will start. And number of step size, whatever you are mentioning, that many elements it will skip. When you are saying a positive number, by default, it will start from the left side. Now is this clear to everyone? Slicing operation? Any doubt till so far? Whatever things I have discussed? This is the one way to do to implement the reversal thing. Is that fine? How to Python chooses a start index as the last element index when we have negative value in the step size. Pawan, you can see the documentation. Internally, developers have defined in a way that internally, by default, it will take the value of n minus 1. The literal meaning of this particular thing, if I'll say to you, the literal meaning of this is, by default, it will say, what is the value of n minus 1? From there, it will start. Take the value of minus 1 and then do minus 1. So if I will do something like this, list 1 of, what is the size of my index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 elements are there, right? So if I'll say 5 minus 1 minus 1, it will print the same answer which this value has printed. So by default, it will automatically, the researchers have defined by default initialization is n minus 1 and minus 1 whenever there is a decrement operator. We have not done anything. If you will go to the documentation of Python reverse operation, you will be able to see this slicing operators. Is this clear? If I'll try to show you also this thing. Oops. 5. What is the last index? 0. 13, 12, 8, 6, 4, 2. I think it should be minus 1 only.
Because the last one is excluded, right?
Yes, it is excluded. So I want to include that.
It's not the start. Please.
I mean, if you give 0, it will exclude the first index. It's similar to like 0 to n we do, right?
So I think the way is only this, because if I'm doing minus 1, it is not showing me the apt result, right? It is saying an empty list. So it means if I'll take it empty only, then only it is taking it as a inclusion of 0. Because what usually happens is, whatever number you will write, for example, if I'll write some number, let's say list 1 of maybe from 1 to, let's say, 3. So what is the element it will print? Anyone, any idea? first index, it will include whatever number you're mentioning. That element it will include. But the problem is the last value which you are mentioning as an index number, it will take it as n minus 1. So what will be the output of this case? Anyone who can give me the result? It will be
4.
4
how
and
4? See, 0, 1, 2, 3. What I'm saying is, first
4
number,
and
first index it will take.
4 and
First
6.
value it will not take. So it means it will go start from 4, go until 6. So it will be 4, 6. Can you see this? So that's where, if you will write the value as, let's say, what we have mentioned, 0. So at that point of time, it is excluding that value. By default, it will exclude that. So it means that the only way to include that value is just remove this and then it will include. So this is the correct output. So this thing,
I think
you can refer, I think in the documentation, you will be able to get that point. That how
I
it
think
is.
Python. Yeah, I think in the second case, when you had mentioned like list 1, 5, -1 and -1, Python might have actually thought like that -1 indicates the last element.
Exactly. So this
So
is not
from the
correct.
start element in the last element, so it does not has any value. So it said like, sorry, I don't have anything.
Correct. That is the interpretation. That's why I think we're getting an empty list. So this is not the correct way. The way should be, we have to make the between thing as empty, because if we take the value as 0, it will remove that first element according to the interpretation. So that is the only correct way to implement this particular thing. So this is clear. The reversal part, this is the one way, but there can be other ways also. I think I got one other approach. That was by, where is that code? Okay. That was by Pawan. So let's take now this particular code, what he has done. So Pawan, can you define this particular thing? What you have done here? What is the logic you have applied here? First of all, let's check whether this code is working fine or not. So here 1, 4, 6, 8, 12 is there. So we will be able to get the output as 11, 8, 6, 4 and 1. Means as per our input and output, what we want, it is working perfectly fine. Let's try to understand what is the logic he has applied. Yeah, Pawan.
So what I have thought is like that, because we have to actually reverse a string, so we need the last element at first place. So to get the last element, so we could actually use the negative index as like -1, and I can start from there, and then I can traverse until the length of the length of the array, and anyways the length of the array should be also be included in my output. So I gave my loop as like +1.
Very good. Is this approach is clear to everyone what he has tried to done here? Basically, just few minutes back, I told you that the way to access element, apart from we are doing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, is we can also start from the right side, means -1, -2, -3, -4. When we want to do a reversal, what we actually want to do? We want to actually start traversing our element from the right side. So what he has done is, if you will be able to observe here, this can also be written as -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Now, here if you will be able to observe, again, the functionality of this range function you have to understand. Let's say if I will say range of 1, 6, what do you think? What are the elements it will include? It will traverse. We're talking about a loop. So which index number it will take? When I'm saying 1, 6.
1 till 5.
1 till 5. Always remember last element, last value, it will not include. Okay. Just like the way we have talked just now with respect to the reversal operation part, right? That slicing operation part. So here, what will happen? He has taken n+1 because we want to move until the value of n, right? Because we will be having n elements, 6 elements. So what I want is I want to go from -1 to -6. So I have to take the value as n+1. And what he has done is just applied a negative indexing. So by default, what will happen? Index value will become 1. So it will take -1, then 2, -2, then 3, -3, then 4, -4, then 5, -5. And he has appended it into a new list called as ANS, which he has already returned that. So finally, we will be able to get the result. Is this part is clear to everyone? This is second way. Okay, let me write it down this thing. Otherwise, we also forget how many ways we have discussed. This is the approach number 1. Approach 1 of reversal is slicing operation that we have done. Right? Approach 2. Where we basically have used a negative indexing to implement. Right? This is the approach number 2. First of all, if this approach is clear, before I will pick up the next approach, and before we will jump towards the next important approach that we have. See, these approaches, anyhow, doing the similar task, but why we have to think over all the approaches which are coming in our head? Because this kind of discussion will help us to think in a broader sense that any one problem can be solved in multiple approaches, and might be this approach which you are looking into, for example, negative indexing, for example, slicing, might be helpful for you, in solving other problems also. Length of R plus 1, explain this logic. Darshan, again try to understand. As I told you, when you are saying that I want to move range from, let's say, 1 to 6. So which index it will move? It will take index number 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Okay? It will always take whatever the value you have mentioned -1. Always remember this. By default, it will pick 0, but you have defined 1, so it will start from 1. Okay? Now, what is happening here? We are accessing the elements from negative side, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So what I want is, I want my range value to cover up this 6 also. If I will not take, by default, it will cover up only until -5. So I will lose my last element, which is 2 in this case, right? So what will happen is, I have taken the value range from 1 to n plus 1. So now what will happen? It will, and then inside this, I'm saying negative of that index. So -1 will be there. Then the next index will be -2. Next index will be -3. Next will be -4, because what I have mentioned, it will be 1, 7 in a way. So now my range value will move from 1 to 6. So 1 is there, -2 is there, -3, -4, -5, and -6. This is how basically we will be able to cover up all the elements that we have. For example, if let's say I will not take this +1. So what will happen? What will happen? Anyone? What is the output now, which we will be able to get?
4.
Yes. So basically, we will be able to get the output until 4. It will lose the last value which we are getting. In order to get that, this is the correct approach. Is this clear to everyone now?
Yes.
What is the
Priya?
complexity of this code?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, for the next
Order of
approach.
n.
Yes, you were about to say something,
Yeah.
Yashasvi?
For the next approach, can we take like 1 to length of array and the step to -1? And
Yeah, we will do. Just wait for a moment. Let's discuss
Yeah,
this approach in the complete part. What is the complexity? By saying that, what is the time complexity of this approach? Complexity will also be 2 parts, time and space. Let's talk about time part.
Big O of n.
Big O of n. Any other answer?
No.
It will be linear. Just now, look upon the loop. Only one loop is working upon to store the results in the negative direction, in the right side direction we are exploring, and moving until the value of 0. Perfect. What is the space complexity? Now let's talk about this a little bit. What is the meaning of a space? When you are implementing this code, apart from what array you already have, what I'm saying, what array you already have. For example, array is something which is already given by the user or given by your code. Have you taken any extra space to store the result or to print the result? Any extra space by saying that you can take a variable also. But specifically, any external data structure have you used to implement your code? In this case, have he used that? Pawan
Yes.
used that or not? Yes. What is this? What is
ANS.
this?
And
This.
answer
He has
list.
taken ANS as a
List.
list of how many elements?
0.
Elements.
Empty.
Empty, initially empty, but at the end, obviously,
Uh,
because he has taken this list for the purpose of storing
Length
all
of
those
array.
n elements, right? N
Length of
elements.
the array. Yeah.
Everyone agrees with me? So how much extra space he has taken to implement this code? Extra space. See, this space we will not include. This space though will be always available whenever we are doing any course, any sort of question. Extra space. How much he has taken? Can I say it will be of n size? It will be of n size.
Yes.
So the space complexity of this code is also big O of n. Is this part is clear to everyone? Space complexity is also big O of n. Try to understand again what is the meaning of space, because we have not touched upon this part in the last sessions. I am again repeating what I'm trying to say here. Space complexity. What is the meaning of this? Simple meaning is that what extra space you have used to implement the code, the logic that you have defined. Now, when I'm saying extra space, you can also take one variable to implement the code or the logic, or you can also take one external data structure completely. Now, always remember that when you are taking a variable, it might be of integer type, it might be of float type, it might be of string type, it might be of character type. They will be having a fixed space memory allocation, right? So that will be a constant space complexity, which is big O of 1 again. So when you are taking a variable, it will be definitely of some data type, right? It can be of integer, it can be of float, it can be of any data type. But when you're taking a data structure completely, it depends on what is the value of n size you have, right? It can be, maybe you're taking half the size, n by 2 elements you're storing, or n elements you're storing. So in that case, overall, in terms of big O, complexity will become big O of n. Space complexity will become big O of n. Is this part is clear to everyone?
I mean, it depends upon the number of elements which we are storing.
Yes. Number of elements which we are storing. So any external data structure which he is using a space. And how many elements he's trying to store in this particular space? Almost all the elements. So it will be big O of n. Let's say if he wants to store almost half of the elements, in that case, what will be the complexity of space?
Big of n only.
Log n.
N by
Big
2
O
is
of n.
also big O of n, right? Yesterday
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
we have discussed. N by 2 can also be written as big O of n. What is the mathematical interpretation for the same? I hope everyone knows why I am saying that n by 2 can be written as big O of n. I hope everyone knows this part.
Yeah,
When
1
we
by
use big O of 1 in space complexity, just now I will show you the example. The two-pointer approach is something which is using a big O of 1, constant space complexity. We will discuss. There are many examples of a constant space, but there are very few examples which you will see is of a linear space, which I had just now shown you with this approach. Okay, let's talk about this complexity. This is also a way we have talked about. What is the time complexity of this approach?
O of n.
And what is the space complexity of this approach?
O
O
of
of
1.
1 is space complexity.
What is the time? First of all, let's talk about time.
O of n.
Now someone can ask me that, we are not using any loop. And you told us in the very first session that if loop are not there, constant complexity. Try to understand. Don't go exactly with my words and just cram those words. Logically, you have to think. Just now we have discussed what is the interpretation of this particular colon -1. What I told you, the interpretation is that we are applying this kind of a looping. Just now I told you, right? This is the interpretation of saying R colon -1. Yes or no? This is the interpretation of saying colon -2. So in Python, We are writing like this in a very simple terms, but in Java, if you have to implement the same thing, this is the code which you will write. Means it's a loop only. So that's why the complexity will become big O of n. Is this part is clear to everyone? Very first thing. Space complexity, how much?
O of 1.
Yeah, big of n only.
Big
Big
O of
of
n or big O of 1?
1.
Big O of 1.
Yes. I am not using any extra space to store my elements.
Okay. Sorry.
So in this case, it will be a constant. But let's suppose if I will just change this code by doing like this, I'll take list2 and I'll do this, and then I'll print list2. Then,
Big of n.
O of n.
yes. Now, if you will be able to see, what is this list2? This is an external, again, data structure which I have used to store my final values, final records, the reversal values. So that space complexity will now change from big O of 1 to big O of n. Is this part is clear to everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, let's move ahead. Next approach.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, can you please repeat space complexity part again?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
please repeat it.
basically, apart from what actual array is given to you, if you are using any extra data structure to store your numbers, to store your list, in that case, you will be having a space complexity as big O of n. That is the simple point which you have to note it down. Okay? Apart from the original array which is provided to us, am I using any extra data structure to implement the code? That's where if yes, then my space is a linear one. If no, at that point of time, my space is a constant one. That's the simple, you can say, logic behind using a space complexity concept. Is
So
this
here-
clear now?
So here we are using an empty list. That's why the space complexity is order of 1. Yeah, big O of 1.
Where?
Yeah, here.
In this case, it is not big O of 1. It is big O of n. You have defined it as an empty list initially, but if you will be able to observe here, after that, you're appending the elements, right? And finally, what is the size of your answer list? It will be n. Can I say? After reversal, you will be having how much size of this ANS list that you have? It will be of size n. Can I say?
Yes, ma'am.
So it will be big O of n. It is not big O of 1. It is linear space complexity task.
Yeah.
Now it is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's talk about the next approach, which I can see on my screen also, two-pointer approach. This approach is very famous. What this approach says, or what the similar kind of questions whenever you will solve in future, how will this approach will be similar, try to understand. What we are doing here, we are saying that we will take 2 pointers in order to implement this approach. Let's say we will be having an array. 2, 7, 12, 19, 21, 27, and 52. So here, I will be having an array, and the index number is this, right? I will be having here 7 elements. What I will do is, I will try to take 2 index pointers, 2 pointers. One is I, another one is j. So here what I am doing is, I am trying to take 2 pointers. That's why this approach is called as a 2-pointer approach. One is I, which will start from 0. One is j, which is start from the value of n minus 1. So I is starting from 0, j is starting from n minus 1. Now what will I do here? Any thoughts? I just have to swap these values. Will you guys agree with me? Until which point of time I will do the same operation? I will apply one while loop and I will say, until my value of I is less than j, until my value of I, maybe it should be after this initialization, I'll say while the value of I is less than j, do one thing. What is that thing? Try to swap between these two numbers. Swap between the value of r of I and the value of r of j. This is what we're supposed to do, right? This is what we're supposed to do. We will swap the value of r of I with r of j. So what will happen? 52 will come here, 2 will go here. That is the meaning of a swap, right? I and j elements will get swapped. After that, once this part is done, once this reversal part is done, what you have to do? You have to do the same task with respect to the upcoming element, this and this. Can I say, everyone? Means what I supposed to do? I will increment my value of I by 1 and I'll decrement the value of j by 1. That is what I will do. And finally, at the very end, I'll return my new array, which I will be able to get. So what will happen? Now my value of I and j was initially 0 and j value was 6. Then once the swap is done, I'll increment the value of I with 1, j value as 5. Again, I'll do the swap. 27 will come here, 7 will go here. Further, I'll increment the value of I, decrement the value of j. Again, what will happen? I is less than j. So again, the swap will happen. 21 will go here, 12 will come here. Again, what will happen? I will get incremented, j will get decremented. So now if you will be able to observe, my value of I is not less than j. They are both equal actually. So that is where my loop will get stopped. It means that we are done with the reversal operation. We are done with the reversal operation. And then finally we will return the array, which is nothing but 52, 27, 52, 27, 21, 19, 12, 7, and 2. This is where we will be able to get the final outcome. Is this clear? This is the very widely used approach, which is famous by the name of a two pointers approach. So if let's say someone in an interview can ask you, are you aware about two pointers approach? You can say yes. This approach is all about this only. Why it is called two pointers? Because we are using two different I and j values, one at the very start, another at the very end. And then we are doing this kind of an operation to do the reversal. Is this part is clear to everyone? How we are doing so? Any doubt? Acha, if there is no doubt, in that case, in this logic, what is the time complexity of this approach?
Still order of n. Order of
Order of n.
Order of n. Because we are using a while loop and we are trying to, traverse all the elements until we reach to a middle value, right? What is the space complexity?
Order of 1.
Order of 1.
Very good. Basically here, if you will be able to observe, we are doing the entire things, whatever things we are doing here in a single array, which is R, right? We are doing the entire things in a single array. We are not using any external data structure here, right? So it is nothing but is a constant space complexity task. Yes. So it is more optimized than the previous approach. If let's say I want to compare the approach, which was the above one, which we have done here, negative indexing, versus this approach, if let's say someone will ask you which one is much better, although the time wise both are same, but space wise, because we're getting a more efficiency in the two pointer approach as comparable to that approach, so we will prefer this approach. Is this part is clear to everyone?
Yes.
This is the approach number 3 that we are discussing. So shall we complete this code? Basically what we can do here is, we can initialize our value of I. Okay, here we don't know the size of an array also. So maybe first of all, let's calculate the size of an array. So len of array is the function in Python, which is basically help us to give me the exact value, exact size of an array. Now I value will become 0, j value will become n minus 1. What we can do is we can say until my value of I is less than j, we can do one thing. What we can do? We need to swap the elements between r of I and arr of j. So in Python, swap is very easy operation. We can say arr of I comma arr of j, and we can apply this assignment operator, which is equals to arr of j comma arr of I. So in this way, we will be able to assign the values and swap it down. Now, next task is to increment the value of I by 1 and decrement the value of j by 1. That's it. Once we will move out of this while loop, what we can do is we can return the value of arr. That's it. I think it should work. Let's try to see if there is any issue. We will try to resolve it at that moment itself. So what we're getting? 11, 8, 6, 4, and 1, which is very much apt, right? So in this case, if you will be able to observe, in this approach, our time complexity is something which is equals to big O of n, and the space complexity is something which is equals to big O of 1. Is this clear to everyone? Chandruveer also shared the code. It is correct.
Ma'am, if the size of array is odd, then the logic in while loop will be I not equal to j, right?
Okay. Let's talk about if the value is even. Will that logic will work? Let's take it. What do you think? Will that work, everyone? Should we change
Yes.
anything?
No.
No. Why is that so? Even this code which Chandraveer has shared, that's what I was looking into. He has mentioned equal to. There is a lot of confusion which many people have, that whether we should mention less than, equal to, or less than, and in what case we should mention. Just always try to, verify these things. Logics, you should verify. Even I don't even remember whether we should apply or not. Just check it out. If you think there is first of all, your code should work both for even as well as odd. You can't change your code depending upon the input, right? So just check it out whether this logic is applicable for the even values also or not. And I think it should be applicable. Why is that so? Because here, if you will be able to observe, let's take any even number of values, and we will do bit faster now because I think everyone knows the logic behind doing this. So what will happen? Let's say we will be having 2, 4, 8, 12, 14, and 19. Now here, if you will be able to observe, we will be having how many elements? 6 elements are there, which are even number of elements. So I value is 0 in the initial case, j value is 5. A swap will happen, 19 will go here, 2 will come here. Now my I value will become 1, my j value will become 4. So 14 will go here and 4 will come here. Now my I value will become 2, my j value will become 3. So what will happen? 12 will go here, 8 will come here. Now my I value will become 3, my j value will become 2. So this is where my while loop condition is not satisfying. What I said, until my value of I is less than j, then only repeat the task which I'm doing here, the statements. But because now my value of I is bigger than j, this loop will get exit out and it will return the array which I finally have. So this will work for both the cases. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you implement the same using for loop? I think Arjit have correctly already implemented that. Very good, Arjit. So shall we move ahead now? Shall we move ahead to the next important part?
Yes.
So far, so good. Any doubts, any confusion, anyone? Okay. Write a function to segregate even odd numbers. Okay. So as you can see in the input value 729461385, what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for that initially all the even numbers will come up in a one go, followed by all the odd values will come up. So again, this question is also very, very widely asked in interviews. So think over it, that how we can implement this problem number 2 for today's session, that given the mixed set of numbers that we have in a list, I want all the even numbers to be jumbled up in the very first go, followed by all the odd numbers. What is the logic we can apply here? I'll give you 5 minutes of time. Meanwhile, if there is anyone who wants to take a break also, they can take. Okay? After 5 minutes, I'll start discussing about this logic. Think over it. And if there is someone who don't want to take a break, implement your logic and share with me in the chat window. I'm here only looking upon your code. But in this 5 minutes, I'll not cover up something new. I'll start after 5 minutes. Okay? Does everyone understood the code part? Shall I share that screen with you?
Yes.
So this is the input and output. I am sharing in the chat window. This is what I'm looking for. All the inputs, even numbers, followed by all the odd numbers. Think over it. Try to see how we can implement this approach. I think everyone knows how we can write a logic of even number and odd number. If any number is divisible by 2, then it's an even number. Otherwise, it's an odd number. Now, how we can use that logic to positioning our numbers in such a way that even will move front followed by all the odd values. That is something which you have to think in this question. So let me just copy the approaches of people like Pawan and Arjit. Similar approach, I think, nothing much difference. Maybe let me copy the approach of Arjit. So what we can say is this is the approach number 1. Okay. So what he has done is, let me write a driver code below. Let's say ki we will be having a array which is equals to, let me copy this array itself. Okay. So now what we can do is returning a list. So we can say result is equals to, the function name is segri, and here he's taking the array ar, and then we can print this ar. Acha, yeah, we can print this result. Okay, let's see what we will be able to get here. So if you will be able to observe, this is what the output we're expecting, 246879135. Now try to understand his approach, what he has done. So basically, if you will be able to see, he has tried to take some extra space, extra again, ANS answer based data structure which he has used here, list he has used here. And he's tried to traverse all the elements which we have in the array. Now, if any element is even, so this is the even element condition, right? This is the even element condition, that if that element modulus 2, now what is this modulus operator does? It tries to give the remainder. So if the remainder is equal to 0, in that case, first of all, append all the values in this ANS. So what will happen? All the even elements will get appended in this ANS. Now, in the next upcoming part, what we will do is, we will again traverse it down. And then what he has done, the value is not equal to 0. This is the condition he has applied for the odd element. And then again try to append this further. So obviously he returned that, and then finally he will be able to get the result. But the question is, again, he is using the extra space. So in this approach, if I'll ask you, what is the time complexity of this approach? And what is the space complexity of this approach? What will be the answer?
Complexity space will say both are
Both are
order of
n.
n.
Big O of n.
Both are big O of n. I hope it is clear to everyone, right? Space is also big O of n. Question is, can we optimize it further? Can we do something in the array itself so that we don't need to take any extra space?
By using while loop.
What we can do while using while loop?
By using two
By
pointers.
using pointer approach.
Yes. Somehow, see that two-pointer approach that we have discussed, right, just now. Now, don't cram again ki that two-pointer approach will always be something like ki we will always start from the very first pointer, the last pointer will always be at the end, and then we are doing a swap. Two-pointer simple meaning is that there will be two values which you are pointing to. There are two values which you are trying to note it down. Can we apply the similar kind of thing here? How? Let's try to understand. For example, let's say कि I will be having an array. Again, elements can be 7, 2, 9, 4, 6, 1, 3, 8, and 5. Index number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Value of n is 9. Can I say number of elements that we have in this array is 9? Now what I can do, I can take first index value as -1. -1 I am saying. And the value of j is 0. What I will do is I'll try to apply one while loop and will say until my j will not traverse all the values that I have until the value of n. If the value of j is not equal to n, what I will do, I'll just check it down. In this array itself, I will not take any extra array. I will check. If let's suppose at any point of time, my value of r of j modulus 2 is equal to 0, which is the condition of a even element checking. I hope everyone knows. So what will happen? Let's say the 7 is there. The 7 is there. The condition will not satisfy. If the condition will satisfy, if it is not satisfied, what I will do? I will just increment the value of j with j plus 1. Nothing I will do. I will go to the next index. My value of j will become 1. In that case, because my two value is now an even value, what should I do? I will first of all increment my value of I with I plus 1. So my value of I will become now -1 plus 1, which is 0. And I will do a swap between the value of r of I and r of j. In a way, I'm using again a two-pointer approach where my I is responsible to take care of even elements and my j is responsible to take care of odd elements in a way. So what is happening is I am saying swap between the value of 2 and 7. So 7 will go here, 2 will go here because j is at 1 index, I will be at 0 index. Then again, I will move ahead to the next value, j will become now 2. 9 is there. Nothing will happen. I will move ahead. At third index, 4 is there. Again, there is a even element. So what I will do? I will first of all increment the value of I because as of now, it is at even position. I equal to 0 is even only. I will increment the value of I, means I will move the value of I with 1. Then I will do a swap between the value of r of 1 and r of 3. So what will happen? 7 will go here, 3 will come here. Think over it. I am not using any extra space. Everything I am doing in this original array.
It should be 4 now.
4. It shouldn't be 3.
Okay, yeah, it should be 4. Yes, very good. So 4 will come here. Is this correct? Can you see all the even elements? They're coming together and all the odd elements were moving towards the right side. Again, we will increment the value of j. Index will be 4. Again, we are getting the even element. What will I do? I will increment the value of I first. Always remember, don't swap directly by not incrementing it, because we will be having currently even element. So increment the value of I, it will be 2. Swap between the value of arrow of I and arrow of j. So what will happen? 6 will come here, 9 will go here. Again, I will move ahead. J index will be 5. Odd, nothing will happen. I will move ahead. 6 index pay, nothing will happen. I will move ahead. 7th index pay, 8 is there. Again, the even element is there. What I will do? Now, again, I will increment the value of I index. It will be 3. A swap will happen. 8 will come here. 7 will go here. Again, I'll increment the value of j with 8. It's an odd element. So what we will be able to get? We will get 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 1, 3, 7, and 5. I think this is what we required, right?
Ma'am, here the approach is similar to sorting algorithm, right?
Yes. So if there is anyone who is aware about quick sort, finding out a pivot elements, similar kind of things we are doing there. If there is anyone who is not aware, just try to understand this approach. That's it. Logic wise, what I am trying to convey here, that is important to understand. What is the advantage of using this approach as comparable to the approach given by Pawan or Arijit? There we were using some extra space to store our elements, right? Even followed by odd. And in this case, just by using this two pointer, this is also a two pointer approach. At any point of time, whenever you are using the two pointers, here the need is something different. One pointer is reserved to take even elements. Another pointer is reserved to take care of odd elements. So at any point of time, we started iteration the value of j. At any point of time, if the element present at j index is even, I will take care that I will say that I'll take care of the even element. So I will increment its position first, and then the swap will happen. So I and j are brothers. I say I will take care of only even elements. You will give me even element, I will give you the odd element. J will say, okay, I will take care of the odd element. So at any point of time, when j meets even element, j contact with the brother I say that, okay, I will provide you the odd, you will provide me the even. In order to do that, I will increment first its position, and then the swap will happen. Then only I will be able to provide the odd value to the j, right? Exactly. I hope it makes sense. Without give and take, nothing will happen. Two ways. So if j is giving me the giving the even to I will take the odd to j. That is the real task which is happening. That's why first of all incrementing of I, then swap will happen. Is that clear? This approach is clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we implement? Okay, will you guys implement this approach now in your editor?
Yeah,
Pseudo
I
code
just
I have
implemented
mentioned.
it. I just implemented it, but the result is not the same that I get.
Okay. So, okay, let's
The
try to
values of
implement them.
7 and 9 are different. Maybe I can also share this.
Okay, let me try to implement, then we will see what is the issue we are facing. What output you are getting here? Two, 4, 6, 8, 9, 1, 3, 7, 5. So even followed by odd, it's correct, right?
Yeah, but that's logically yes, but it is not the exact one. The results are a bit varying. 2, 4, 6, 8 positions are correct. Then 1, 3 position, then 7, 9, 1, 3, 5, 5 is correct. Then 7, 9, 1, 3 is not correct.
Okay. And what we're getting as per our logic answer, 2, 4, 6, 8. I think this is the answer we will be able to get. This is what you're getting now.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
when we dry run our code, this is what we should get, right? 2, 4, 6,
Yeah.
8, 9, 1, 3, 7, 5.
Yeah, that's what we get.
That is what you will get with this logic. That particular result he is getting like that because first of all, he is appending all the elements even first and then followed by odd first. That's why this is the kind of output we are getting. But
No,
I
if you
now
see your expected output,
it's about the order, right? Like it's not preserving the
okay,
order, I think.
I got your concern where you guys are confusing. So usually what happened is that when we will do the implementation on lead code platform, this kind of questions, there are multiple test cases. And it might be the case that for few problems, there can be multiple solutions. So it's not about the order. The concept here is that we need to anyhow segregate the even and odd. That is the question. Be it any number, there can be multiple outputs of the same problems. For example, you can also get 4, 2, 6, 8, followed by 7, 9, 3, 1, 5. That is not an issue. The point is that even numbers should come first, followed by the odd numbers. Or there can be a scenario where you can also get odd number first, followed by even numbers. That is also not a real issue. The issue is, the point here is that we need a segregation. That's it. So this is not something which is the only output. This is not the only output for this case. There can be multiple possible outputs which can be possible. In lead code platform, when we will start doing on Sunday, you will observe multiple problems where there are multiple test cases and there can be multiple solutions for the same. And it will be mentioned on the lead code very clearly that there can be multiple solutions corresponding to this particular example. So same question, same thing will happen here also. So the answer which you guys are getting is actually correct because when we dry run this code, this is the logic we are getting, even in the dry running part. So I think your implementation is perfectly fine. Let me just try to do the implementation with respect to this again. So what we have discussed here, this is the driver code, right? So basically, we will be having def segre, we will be having an array. We have to somehow segregate now the even and the odd element. So what we will do, just now we have discussed, we will take the value of I as -1. Then we will take the value of j as 0. We will try to run our while loop and say until my value of j will not be equals to n, do one thing. What is that thing? Try to check it out, the even condition. If my arr of j modulus 2 is equal to 0, in that case, it's an even number. If it's an even number, first of all, I'll increment the value of I. Then I will do a swap. So what will happen? Arr of I, comma, arr of j, which is equals to arr of j, comma, arr of I. Once this is done, if let's say this is not the condition which is satisfying, I'll simply increment the value of j by +1. That's it. And finally, when I will exit out of this loop, I'll return the value of r. Is this fine? Logic is fine? Okay, what is n? I have not defined. N is the length of the array that we have. Now it is fine. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 1, 3, 7, 5. I think that's what you are getting, right? Perfect. Shall we move ahead now? Okay. What is the time complexity of this approach? And what is the space complexity of this approach?
Order of n and order of 1.
Very good. So because we're not using any extra space, it will be a constant one. But we are using a while loop, which will traverse the complete array that we have. So the time will be big O of n. Is this fine to everyone now? I hope you guys got a broader picture today with respect to after doing this implementation things. Difficult to nahi lag raha hai? Is it difficult or easy?
We just need to practice more, I think. Then get some intuition ourselves. But it's
Yes.
okay.
But whatever things just now we have discussed, that is clear to everyone.
They are easy.
Yes, yes.
Step by step, when we will cover up more questions in future, you will be very much comfortable. Your problem solving mindset will be like, okay, then maybe at some point of time you are giving me the more optimized approach than as comparable to me. Okay, so this is something which you will be able to get once you will start practicing the problems. Acha, on the platform itself, because yesterday only someone requested me that please try to upload the questions before the class. So today I have uploaded that. I hope you have seen that. There are 5 coding questions which I have already uploaded. Okay. So just check it out after the session. Again, try to solve it out if you can. That's good. Try to discuss it with your colleagues here. And after that, on Sunday, we will try to solve all those problems. In those problems, I have also attached a link of the question. For example, from where I picked up that question. So maximum questions are from lead code only. So if you have any confusion in terms of maybe what are the other test cases which are possible, maybe you can go and refer the actual website and just refer from there. If you want, implement there also. Because usually what happened is that on that lead code platform, there will be multiple test cases as comparable to this platform. So I would also suggest that after writing your code on this platform, do the implementation on that platform also and check whether your code is submitted or not. On Sunday, I will ask from everyone how many people have done this particular questions and how many questions will you able to solve after out of these 5 questions. If you will not able to solve any question, then also it's fine. If you will be able to solve 1 or 2 questions, I will give you a chance to, explain, because usually what happened, there are so many people which I have seen, they are good in terms of doing the implementation, in terms of getting the logic pretty well, but they're not good in terms of explaining to the interviewer. But when you go to the interview, you have to explain your logic also in a nice way. So that also we will practice in this 2 months duration, that okay, I know how can I implement. My code is running fine. My old test cases are working perfectly fine. But now you have to explain also that code in a way that it should be actually understandable to each and every one. Okay. So this is what practice we will build. If let's say someone is saying that, okay, I will be able to solve, let's say there was a problem of sort colors. So for example, someone said that I would be able to solve, my test cases are also running, everything is going very smooth. So I'll give him or her the chance to explain that problem. I'll not explain that problem. Let's say there's some problem. Someone said that everyone is saying that it's very difficult. We are not able to solve it somehow. So that problem, I will take it ahead and step by step, we will try to figure it out how we can solve those problems. So problems belong to easy to medium level. It's not very hard. But again, all these problems are very widely asked in interviews with respect to the array data structure. Okay. Can you list out all the 2-pointer questions from lead code? Definitely, you will get every kind of variety of question in these platforms itself. Either we are doing in the live sessions or in the assignments. And all the assignments will also be discussed in the live session. It's not that I'm only giving to you and I'm not discussing. At least the difficult problems which I'm giving you in the assignment, those problems will be discussed. So step by step, everything will come. Okay. By practicing, our implementation will get better. Definitely yes, definitely yes. It's just that you have to put a lot of hard work on top of this. Okay. Today only you can see, right? First day, I think there are 27 people who have joined this live class. First day. Yesterday, there are 20 people who have joined. Today, there are 16. So that's what I have said. Consistency is the major key. And you will observe when we will move ahead towards the end, because I'm taking the sessions from the past 3 years. The batch is like, I have taken the batches which are very, very big. For example, 500, 600 students enrolled, because I was collaborated with the companies. So 600 students enrolled, and at the very end, in the very last class, there are 20, 30, 40 in that 500, 600 class. So I really want to look upon in this batch where genuinely there are very less students enrolled, how many students will be consistent with me at the very end. And those who will be consistent, who will be able to, learn the concepts, joining all the live sessions, doing all the assignments, definitely no one can beat their results. But those who have enrolled but are not joining the class and they are like, we will watch the recording afterwards. You can watch it on YouTube also, then why you have buy the course? The only advantage is this only, and you're missing that due to some XYZ reason, but somehow you're missing, right? So that is the only thing. The important factor is that you have to be consistent in terms of studying. Live sessions, assignments, everything you have to do. You have to put on your hard work, right? Shall we move ahead?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, please ask.
So in your platform, right? Like, so can you tell us that we'll have to define it like a function, or because in lead code, right, you'll already have that function that you need to complete, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
like how, like, or do we need to write that driver code ourselves, or like that's
No.
one thing I just wrote.
The only thing which you have to do, that's why I have already attached. So let me show you.
Yes. If you can just go to your platform and show us it, that'll be fine.
Yeah, I am actually, the problem is I don't have the similar platform which you guys must have because I am the admin. That is the thing. Oh,
Okay. After this,
Do you want
like
me
in
to
the
share it?
Q&A, you can.
but
If you
just
want, I
give
can
me a
also
moment.
share it.
Yeah, you can share. That is fine. But maybe if I can.
Go to any of the questions, so that's fine. I just wanted to see how we. Okay.
For example, this is the question, right? I have designed this question. Now in this question, if you will click in your platform, this problem statement, now you will find this link because this link is attached. Now, if you will open this link, so what I'm really looking forward is that in Python, if we will go, right? Python 3.
Okay. We need this.
This is the only thing which you have to take care of because in an interview also, this is the only thing which interviewer will ask from you. So obviously, when you're doing an implementation on this platform, you have to write a driver code like this, which I am writing down in the Google Colab. That's why avoid that thing. Just do this problem on lead code directly. That would be best. Okay?
Thanks.
If you are facing any trouble, because their test cases are also there by default, which is not available. That test cases are not available in this platform. So that would be great if you will pick up the question from here and do it on lead code. It will improvise your profile also anyhow. And you will also get to know that whether the test cases are passing or not. Always remember when you are doing any implementation, for example, let me pick this example only. Let's say I have done this implementation. It's a Java implementation. Let's say I will do in Java. And I'll just copy this thing. Okay? Let's assume. So once you run this code on lead code, it is accepted. It doesn't indicate that your code is correct. Always remember this. Until or unless your code will not get submitted. After running, submit your code. Make sure you will submit your code. Once you submit this code, then it will take some time and then just check it out whether you will be able to do the submission or not pretty well. If this is submitted, it is showing this kind of a status, then it is good to go. Otherwise, you have to check it out where you are going wrong. It might be the case, it is running fine, but at the time of submission, it is giving you TLE kind of error, time limit exceeded kind of error. So please make sure that all the 5 problems which I have shared with you all, every problem has a attached link. Go towards that link, check it out, and try to implement in that platform itself. That would be great. Is it fine, everyone?
The attached link, is it visible for everyone, or?
I have attached it. I
Yeah,
think it will be visible. Can anyone
you
try
just
it on
have
the
to.
platform?
Yeah, you just have to hover your mouse on problem statement, only then it is visible, because it is not highlighted in a different color. So it's quite difficult to understand if it is a link or not. So you have to hover your mouse on top of it. Then only that particular problem statement is clickable.
Okay,
definitely.
let's
Got it.
share. Pawan, screen share karna. Share your screen.
Yep. Just give me a second. Here, screen to share.
I will be
Yeah.
consistent and stick till the last day. That's super awesome. Let's see how
So
many people will be there. Yeah.
so there is no difference in the color. So the color is the same. So only
Yeah.
when I hover the mouse on it, only then it becomes a different icon, and then only then I will be able to click it. Oh no, it opens in the same platform.
It is not
So
clickable.
maybe
Just
we
see
can
that.
add it in the description, like in the problem statement itself. That's
Yeah, if it
or
is not clickable, then I'll add it. I thought it will be clickable. Just try to
Can you
click the.
do right click and copy link and
Yeah,
then open?
I was able to do that. I
Yeah.
usually use control click and then so that it
Yes.
opens in a new
Yeah.
platform, new window.
Mm. Or even right click and copy link. It's, yeah,
Yeah, you
copy
also
link
have
or
that.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's clickable now. Okay, cool. I think it's done.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you can stop sharing your screen. If still anyone is feeling any issue, no, just do let me know. I will try to resolve it out. Okay. The name of the problem is there. You can go on LeetCode, search that problem. That is also you can do. Okay. Okay. Let's move ahead to the next important part. See, we have talked about until so far regarding the 1D array. But actually, we do have a 2D array also. What is the meaning of 2D array? As the name suggests, we will be having 2 dimensions. Means you will be having the rows and then you will be having the columns. For example, all the matrix calculations that you usually see will be done on this 2D array based data structure. All the matrix computations, which we will see like transpose, multiplication of a matrix, addition of 2 matrices. All these are the examples of a 2D array. So what you usually have in 2D, we will be having the rows, followed by we will be having the columns. Okay. For example, let's say we will be having an element 23, 47, 65, 46, 24, 99, 29, 32, 42. Now, this is something from top to down. This is called as a row. And from left to right, this is something which we call as a column. Okay. And by default, just like the way I told you that in an array, we start from a zero based indexing. In this 2D array also, we start from 0, 0, 1, 2, and column wise also 0, 1, 2. So by default, we will be having here 3 rows and 3 columns. Is that fine? So if someone will ask you how many number of elements we have in this 2D array, just do the multiplication. 3 into 3, 9 elements are there. If you can count, you will be easily able to see that as well. So let's say we will be having an array as R. And I want to access any element, for example, 32 in this 2D array. So how will I access? The simple way is you have to say what is the row index value followed by what is the column index value. What is the column index value? That's it. So for example, if I want to access this 32, what is the row index value corresponding to 32?
21.
2.
It will be 2 followed by 1. This will again give me the answer as 32. So again, accessing the elements from 2D array is also a constant task. Big O of 1. Again, random access property is here also. Because it's an array, doesn't matter it's 1D, 2D. We can have 3D also usually. But whatever be the kind of arrays we have, random access is still possible. Means by providing the index number, we can directly fetch up any kind of element that we have. Right? In the upcoming class on Sunday, I'll talk about the interview questions on LeetCode. I'll discuss with respect to 2D array specifically, because there are so many students who got confused with respect to the problems, that too with respect to binary searching. That in 2D array, how this binary searching thing will be implemented. Very widely asked question again. And how we can be easily able to fetch any element from this 2D array, considering that the elements are in the sorted order. Today, we will not discuss that part. The only thing which you have to take care of in today's class is that, okay, apart from this 1D array concept, we do have a 2D array, and that is the way to access any element in the 2D array. Okay. Now, usually, we have talked about arrays, whether it be 1D or 2D. What are the general applications of this data structure? Where it is genuinely in real time, it is being used. The very widely used application of this array is searching. It is very widely said that in an industry at any real-time projects, whenever you feel that the searching operation in the records that you have is very widely used as comparable to insertion or deletion, very frequently used operation is searching, always go for array-based data structure. The only reason is that in an arrays, we have an optimized approach of a binary search. So one thing is that at any point of time, whenever we have to go for a searching operation, array is something which is a very great data structure. What is the meaning of an searching operation? For example, let's say we will be having an elements 2, 4, 9, 12, 15. Again, index number is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we will be having how many number of elements? 5 number of elements are there, right? Let's say the target value which I want to search is 12. So what I want is, I want the index number corresponding to that element. That is, what I want is the output will be equals to what? 3. That is the result which I'm looking for. This is the real meaning of searching an element, meaning printing of a corresponding element index number. And let's say if your target is something which is not available in an array, for example, let's say I want to search a target as 17. In that case, if I'll say what is the output, so it will print the output as -1. So it indicates that no element which you're looking for is available. That is the meaning of this. Now, this is a very simple array which I have taken, but you can imagine that in real world, we are dealing with a huge data, right? We are dealing with a very huge amount of records in an Excel when we're searching something. So Control+F to find out something, right? All those things, always internally, what kind of operation is being doing? Searching only. So basically, whenever we will be having a huge data, where we know that the data is static, data will not change, increase or decrease, at that point of time, we usually prefer to go for this array-based data structure to store the data. But at any point of time, if someone will say that my frequent task is to do the insertion and deletion operation, we will not prefer to go for arrays. We will prefer to go for a linked list. Now, why is that so? There is a reason behind that. Anyone who can have any guesses? What I'm saying is that whenever there is insertion and deletion operation in a huge set of records, we will never no preference for array-based data structure. We will prefer some other data structure, which is a linked list.
Because it is stored the address of the next or previous node.
The type complexity is order of 1.
Okay, let's not talk about linked list because we have not covered up. Just focus on why array is not preferable, because we know what is an array now. Let's say I will be having some data already available in my array. Let's say 2, 7, 9, 12, 15. Index number is also there, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now I'm saying I will be having 5 elements. But now at second index, at index number 2, I want to store the element as 14. I want to update the value and store at second index the element as 14. So what I supposed to do here? To do this operation?
Again, you have to
Incorrectly assigned.
One student at a time?
Yeah, A of 2 is equal to 14.
Okay, if you will do that,
But
you will lose
what
the
will
data.
happen is it will
Overwrite. It will overwrite this line. I don't want to
Then
overwrite
we
the
should
statement.
actually then we should
Basically, we have
actually
to
copy the
copy.
elements from 2 until the last index, and then we need to insert that particular element.
Very good. Basically, in this case, in order to do this task, what we have to do is we have to first of all empty this space, right? Because I don't want any data loss here. I don't want to lose any data point. So what I will do, I have to somehow shift the entire data values from 2 to 4 towards the right side. So 15 will be shifted here, 12 will be here, 9 will be here. Then there will be a space which is empty. And then that's where I will store the value as 14. So we will be having 2, 7, 14, 9, 12, and 15. Acha, what is the complexity required to implement this part?
Order of n.
Order of
n.
Does everyone agrees with me on this point? Okay, this is the time complexity. What is the space complexity?
Also order of n. We have to create a new array.
order of n,
Order of
as
n.
we are creating one more extra.
Order of n. Why?
We are creating more space for storing that element.
Move every element after that. So that
You are using a dynamic array, first thing. And you are doing in the same array, right? Are you using some new array, AR1, to do this task? You are just shifting your element to the right side, right? Already space is available on the right side. You are not doing the initialization of a new array, AR1 or AR2 or AR3. Just shifting out towards the right side. That's what you are doing, right?
But
In the
if the
original
space,
array.
if the space is not available, then that case,
If the space is not available internally, that particular Python programming language will take care of that. Anyhow, I won't be able to see that whether my space is available or not. If the space is available, whether it is initializing and taking a new array creation. Anyhow, if the new array will be created, it will assign the same variable add to that new array internally and remove the previous one. That is an internal step which we are not aware of. But in this case, when we are shifting towards the right side, it might be the case the space is available. It might be the case space is not available. We can't focus on that part as a complexity part. Are you using any by default, by yourself, are you trying to create some new data structure by defining some size? No, we will do this operation in the same array, right? Don't focus on the things which we are not taking care of. That is taken care of by programming language itself. We are not taking care of those things. We are just focusing on that whether we are taking any external data structure apart from the array AR which we are using. No, that's not. Our base address is same only, whatever be the address which we have with respect to this array. That is same. So basically it will be constant task. It's not big O of n. Is this clear what I'm trying to convey here?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. But now this thing, when we will move towards the linked list data structure, you will observe it's a constant task in that scenario. That's why same case for the deletion also, you will have to shift all the values. So that is the reason, because there is a lot of shifting operation which is being done in the array. Complexity is very huge, which is linear one. Whereas when we will jump towards the linked list data structure, I'm not talking in a great detail today about this, but as of now, you can make an assumption that if she is saying she must be saying it somehow correctly, that it is a constant task in that scenario. Okay? We just have to change the linkage, that's it. So basically, what I'm trying to convey at this point of time is that if someone in an interview will ask you that if we will be having insertion and deletion operations quite frequently, will you prefer to go for arrays? Your answer should be no. The reason is this only. You can say it would be a linked list. How can you explain that point? That maybe later on we will discuss the same point again, that why this linked list will be having that constant base time complexity. ठीक है? And that is the reason of the origination of this linked list as comparable to that array, because if array is already there, why there is a linked list? That is the only reason. ठीक है? Okay, perfect. So now, apart from this, another application of this array is the sorting. What is the meaning of sorting? Arranging the elements either in a ascending order or in a descending order. For example, let's say you will be having an array which is 2, 1, 5, 3, 9. So if you are arranging, you are applying some sort of algorithm here, and what is happening is your elements will be arranged like this: 1, 2, 3, 5, 9 in the form of a ascending order. Again, it's a concept of the sorting algorithms that we have. And we do have two separate varieties of sorting algorithms. One is called as a in-place sorting algorithm, in which we are not using any extra space. No extra space is required. Extra space meaning, again, no external data structure we are using in those algorithms. And then we will be having outplace sorting algorithm, in which we are using some sort of extra space. For example, merge sort is a very good example of outplace sorting algorithm. There are so many examples of in-place sorting algorithm, which we will discuss later on. But yes, the literal meaning of in-place and outplace is, because I have used this word in the practice problems of today's session. That's why I'm explaining these terms with you all. Otherwise, you might get confused at what this new term is all about. You will see in the sort colors problem. What they're saying, given an array numbers with n objects colored red, white, or blue, sort them in place. So you should be understand this word in place. What is the meaning of in place? In place meaning that you have to apply some algorithm which is not using any extra space. It means your space complexity will be constant. It will be big O of 1. Okay? Outplace meaning that you're using some extra space, some external data structure to implement the sorting algorithm. Okay? This is not extra space, this is extra space. Is it clear to everyone? So we have two different varieties of sorting algorithms, in place and out place. Is that fine? And when you are solving this question, solve it like don't focus on the sorting algorithms genuinely, which we have like bubble sort, insertion sort, all those things I have not covered up. And even there is no need to write those algorithms in this code. Think it logically. If someone is not aware about those algorithms, how will that person will solve? Because here we just have three numbers, 0, 1, and 2. So very simple pointer approach try to apply, and you will be able to run that. Right? You will be able to execute that. Perfect. Is this clear? So far, so good. Any doubt, anyone? Vikas, what do you want me to repeat again? Is this clear now? Vikas. In place meaning that there is no extra space. Just now we have discussed the space complexity constant. In other words, sorting algorithm per se, it says the new word called as in place. Same thing, new word. And just now we have discussed if some algorithm is taking big O of n as the extra space. Just now we have seen that there are some codes where we are using some external data structure, right? That is taking a big O of n as a space complexity. So in sorting algorithms, if we are taking some extra space and which is giving us a space complexity of big O of n, that is called as an outplace algorithm. And if it is not taking, it is called as an in place. Same things, different words is just you have to understand. Is this clear? Now?
Priya, like you explained the application of 1D array, like searching, sorting. So in what are the application of 2D array? Where do we use 2D arrays?
I have talked about that as well. So basically, this 2D array is being used in matrix computation. Let me give you a real-time example of this. How many of you are from data science background? deep learning, computer vision projects, how many of you have done? Maybe you must have heard of that whenever we are dealing with the computer vision domain, right? We are somehow dealing with a data set which is composed of images. I hope everyone is aware about this fact, right? We will be having some different tasks. For example, let's say you are doing an image segmentation task, right? So when you are saying that I will be having an image and I am doing an image segmentation for that particular image, it's okay if anyone is not able to understand my point, that is also fine. If anyone is able to understand, that is also fine. Very simple point which I'm trying to convey here, not complicated point. When you're saying images, you're dealing with the images. Image is nothing but is a 2D array. If it is a 3-dimensional image, 3D array. So basically, it's a set of pixel values. Pixel values. What we as a human being see is an image. When we insert that image inside our system to do any task, maybe image segmentation, maybe object detection, maybe object tracking, we have to feed that first of all, right? Our model will learn those images. By saying that, what my model is learning? Those pixel values. For example, you're saying 0, then 1, 0, 1. Means 0 means my image belongs to which color?
Black.
0 is?
Gray color.
Black.
Black. 1 is?
White.
White. It means I'm talking about black and white image here in this case. So let's say you will be having a black and white image. And wherever I'm saying 1, 1, 1, it means you will be having a points of white color. White color. All these points. And remaining points, let's say I will refer it as 0, 0, 0. So when you will do a convolution, CNN architecture, I hope everyone must have learned about this. So some filters you will apply on top of this, right? And then some calculations happen where whatever be the filter size we have, it will try to do the cross multiplication and will try to generate a final picture, right? Where it will be able to understand the patterns. So basically all these operations, all these things will be stored inside which kind of data structure? 2D array, right? So array 1D is on searching and sorting side, but more than that, 2D, 3D, 4D, all these real-time applications is on the images. Whatever task which you are seeing nowadays is completely done on this array-based data structure only. This is the only storage system. If you will go check it out, you will be able to see NumPy is completely, which is a very heavily used package in the data science projects. If you will be able to observe, we will be having multiple projects where we are using NumPy package. And in that case, if you will be able to observe, completely ND array kind of a DS is there. N-dimensional array means you can have 2-dimensional, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Why NumPy is designed by developers? The only reason is they have written inside that NumPy package a very optimized code, which is taking a very low time and space complexity. So that if there is someone who is not from DSA based background, they also can directly use the advantage of this NumPy and implement the codes. So this is the real-time application of the 2D arrays or further 3D and 4D and ND arrays. Is this clear now? Who asked the question?
Me asked. Like,
Prashant. Is this clear?
yeah, clear. And any other simple simple example you can give, like for the in algorithms, like in data structures maybe?
Matrix computation is the very simplest example. Matrix computation is also again very widely used in lot many tasks. For example, networking we are heavily using this matrix computation. Again, in deep learning, so many architectures, transpose of a matrix is required. So all these things again are the real-time examples of this 2D array thing, which we are using here. Okay. Apart from this, as such direct application is not there. You can always understand that wherever this kind of architecture is there, where we are using 3 channels or 2 channels or 4 channels, that's where this application will come into picture. But there's only single one, that's where you will be having that algorithms only searching or sorting. Is this clear? Any other doubt, anyone? Okay. So shall we talk about now searching algorithms, or shall we wrap up the class? What do you want?
I mean, it will be too much. Like if you,
It's too much. Huh? It's for everyone? It's too much? Okay, so what we have discussed today,
Yes.
anyone who can give me a brief overview? Who will give me?
Space complexity, two-pointer approach.
Space complexity, two-pointer approach. Other people can
Array,
also add some points if they
array.
want to.
Array.
Array list.
Array and list one and the same thing. Don't add the points. Then next.
Yeah, and then
Some
How is the
questions
memory being
like
allocated? How the memory is being allocated in an array?
Okay.
Static array and dynamic array.
Then very good.
Two-pointer approach for an array problem.
Already done.
then in place, out place.
In place, out place. Very good. What problems we have, discussed
partition
today?
array.
Reversing array
Reverse string, then
and segregating the odd number and even number
Even and odd.
Yes.
in array.
Even and odd, right? So I
And
will
the
share
applications
the.
of
Mhm.
and the applications of the where can we use an array?
Yes, 1D array, 2D array, what is the real-time applications where we are using all these things, right? Before ending the class, please repeat the segregate function. I'll repeat that, don't worry. Any doubt anyone is having apart from this?
Just one thing, like you said about the space complexity as big of n, big of 1, when we don't use any extra space, and if we use any extra space, we use big of n, right?
If we use any extra space, and
Huh.
any extra space meaning any extra data structure,
Mhm.
and that too, as of now, I have taken example of a linear based. So that's why it's big O of n.
Okay,
Further,
so
when
there
we
are
will come
variations
towards,
also, right?
uh-huh.
There are variations also, right? Big of n square in space complexity.
When right time will come, I'll talk about those points also. But as of now, because you are only aware about linear based data structure, which is arrays. So as of now, consider that we are using external DS, which is array only or list only. So that's why it is big O of n. In future, when right time will come, I'll talk about big O of n square variation also. Okay? Okay, Prashant?
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Any
about
Prashant.
hello.
Yes, Saket.
Ma'am, about space complexity, you have told in dynamic array that whenever a new element is added in a dynamic array, the array size will grow. An extra size of that array will come and join. Isn't it right?
Anyone who wants to answer this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. If dynamic array means if there is an array of size, let's say 10, and whenever a new element is added, the array of size of that list will come and add it to it.
Yeah, so basically, from what I understand, in case of dynamic array, internally Python allocates a initial amount of space and it monitors how much of the array is filled, depending on whatever the load factor is. Once that threshold is crossed, they will like basically create a new array with double the initial space. And you can just keep on adding. You don't even have to actually worry about it because we won't get to see that processing. That's
So
what I
in
have
that
understood.
case, the space complexity will it be big of 1 or big of
So I don't think algorithms will care about that as much. Like this is, I think, post-theory analysis things of that sort. I think it would be order of n only. Like adding elements to the array will not take you more than what it should. Like the append operation I was asking, right? Like whether the append operation will take time complexity.
Yes. Yes, I'm asking the space complexity order.
It will be O of n because those many number of spaces we are trying to
See, whenever we are talking about space thing, algorithmically, we are not designing those things, right? Algorithmically, we are not designing those things. How much space internally it is taking up. When we will take some extra space in order to execute our code, take that as a space complexity. Remaining spaces, you can't even calculate that how much internally space it is using. So don't worry about those spaces which you are not concerning, which already programming language is taking care of. You are concerning with that space which you are defining in your code in order to get the output. For example, Pawan or Arijit have today gave some code where they are using ANS kind of a separate list in order to execute their code to print the segregation of even and odd numbers, right? Do you remember that point? That
Yes,
code, do you remember? So that
yes.
is where we will mark it as big O of n. Internally, whether my array is now copied, whether it is taking some extra space, whether the load factor is now how much, you don't need to take care of. This point I just gave you as an information that what is internally happening in a dynamic array. No one even will teach you these things, or no one even will look into these things, right? So don't get confused by having a lot of information. Take it just like we are not taking care of those aspects. Whatever algorithms we are designing, we are logically improving. That's where we have to think about the time part as well as the space part. That's it. And second thing, Arijit has mentioned very much correctly. It's not that whenever a new element is added, you will double the space. List will double the space. No. When the load, there will be some threshold. When the threshold will increase, your value, number of elements will increase by that threshold. At that point of time, your list will get doubled and it will try to take further elements. Okay? So this operation will happen internally. You never ever have an idea also that this kind of operation is happening. So don't focus that much on that part, but by saying that, have understanding that how this dynamic array is working upon, how without defining any array size initially as a fixed number, we will not able to get that index out of bound count kind of an error. So this is the internal thing which is going on. Is it clear now, Saket?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Yes. Any other question anyone is asking?
I just have one short request, Priya. Is it possible for us to, is it possible for you to allow us to download the documents alone from the platform?
You can't download that?
No, we can't.
Yes,
I
madam.
think we can. I have downloaded. You mean the lecture notes, right?
Yeah, the lecture notes only for the lecture one, because she had actually shared it on the discussions, so we are able to download it, no issues. But from the second one onwards, it's like we should only see it in the platform. We cannot download it and then we cannot view it. Even
Yes,
if I
quite a
download it
let
and then it
me.
is actually asking me for password. So please enter a password, and I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, let me check this one. I mean, I downloaded the first one, so maybe it's
You
the case.
downloaded
Let
the
me check.
first one from the dashboard or from the discussion section, Arjit?
From the dashboard itself. Let me check lecture
Just
2.
check it out,
Mhm.
and if you can download, just show in the screen, and everyone will be able to get that.
Yeah. First one is this. Okay, okay, I get it now. I think yeah, I think he is correct. Maybe from this like from the dashboard, we are not able to the download. There is no download button as such. Probably I downloaded from the uh like
Okay. So
discussion
then I
section.
will
Yeah.
do one thing. I will create one drive link, okay, where I'll try to attach all these things, and from that drive link you can download the stuffs. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share the link of the drive link also in the chat. Okay, and lecture 1, lecture 2, and from coming lectures forward, I'll try to upload there also the notes and everything.
Yeah. Okay, great. You can also include the drive link in the note section under the video.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Under the resource section of the video.
I'll include that. Any other issue? Anyone? Okay, who will repeat this segregate function? Chandraveer, this function you want to repeat? Which one? Optimized approach? This one? Okay, so who will explain this? Anyone?
Maybe I can try.
Okay, Arjit is there, Pawan is there. These two people are just put yourself on mute. I want to talk with other people also. Any other person who wants to give a try? Saket, very good. Yeah, please, please.
Yeah, in this approach, for segregating the array, we are using two-pointer approach. So basically the two-pointer approach is about reducing the space complexity here. So here in this array, you are initializing the first index with j is equal to 0 and then I is equal to -1. So we are checking the values here. So checking the validation whether the first element is divisible by 2 or not. If it is divisible by 2, then you are swapping it. How we are swapping it? So
if it is divisible by 2, then we are swapping it directly, or we are doing something else before that?
Yeah, we are. So we are incrementing the I value first.
Yes.
So now the I value will be incremented. So initially the I is initialized to -1. So when the I is incremented by 1, then now I will become 0. So and in the next step, the array of 0, array of j means array of 1 here will be is equal to array of 0, array of 1.
Yes. Yes,
As
correct.
such, then we are incrementing the j by 1, and then again we are entering into the loop.
Yes. So basically what we are trying to do, our focus is to segregate the odd and even, right? So what we are trying to do, we are saying that initially our value of j is 0 and our value of I is -1. So we are saying that I is saying that I will take care of all the even elements, and j is saying that I will take care of all the odd elements. I is taking care of the even elements and j is taking care of the odd elements that we have. So what is happening here? For example, let's say we will be having a element like 7, 2, 9, 5, 6, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we will be having 6 elements, right? So what we are saying, j is initially 0, I is initially -1. At any point of time, if my value of j is even, at that point of time, I will contact with I will say to I, j will say to I, give me odd, I will give you even element. That's how the cooperation will happen. So we will start from here. It is odd, nothing will happen. It will move ahead. It is even. So now what will happen? J will increase its pointer by 1. It will be 0. J value is initially 1. And a swap will happen. 2 will go here. 7 will come here. Now j will become 2. It's an odd number. Nothing will happen. Then 3, odd number. Nothing will happen. Then 4, even number. So again, what will happen? J will again connect with I. I will say, I will increment the value. So 7 and 6 will get swapped. 6 will come here. Then further j will become 5. Again, a odd value. So even value, again, what will happen? So again, the index of I will get incremented, and this is a swap between this 9 and 4 will happen. And now the final task is done. We have already traversed all the elements. So what we will be able to get as an output is 2, 6, 4, 5, 7, 9. So here, if you will be able to see, we will be able to segregate the even elements and the odd elements. Even are together, odd are together. This is the logic. Chandraveer, is this clear now? Any doubt? What if first element is even? Okay. So
Yeah,
let's say
I was
we will
about
be
to ask
having
that.
2, 3, 7, 9, 4. Okay. It is 0, it is 1, it is 2, it is 3, it is 4. Again, I value is initially -1, j value is 0. So what will happen? J is 0. Initially it is even. So what will happen? You said increment the value of I first. So it will be 0. A of I and A of j, both are same elements. So when swap will happen, it will remain its own position. 2 will remain its own position. Then j will be incremented to 1. It's an odd element. Then 2, it's a odd. Then 3, it's a odd. Then 4, it's a even. Again, what will happen? I will increment first. It will go to 1 position. A swap will happen. 4 will go here. 3 will go here. So what is the output we will be able to get? 2, 4, 7, 9, 3. Again, even is this, odd is this. Got it? So at same, if the values are same, obviously the elements are same, swap will happen and the location will remain same. That is the thing which you have to understand. Any other doubt, anyone? Whatever things we have covered up today, is this clear to everyone? No doubt still so far? So until so far, in the last 3 classes of this week, okay, one more information. On Sunday, we have a class. Same time, I'll schedule the class. So on Sunday, we will be having a class from 8 to again 11. 8 to 10, we will do the discussion, and 10 to 11, we will do a. Okay? Tomorrow, we don't have a class. On Sunday, now we will meet next, where we will talk about further interview questions plus searching algorithm. We will discuss very, very important class. Please don't miss that class as well. If you are still here and have completely watched the recording, so I believe that you must find it really insightful, because it's a very long video and it requires a lot of effort to sit and watch it consistently. So I believe that you really find it insightful. That's why you have spent a lot of time here. If you do, please hit like button. Please share this video with each and everyone. And if you will feel comfortable that okay, I am able to understand the pace, so do check it out the course. I'll attach everything in the description section of this video, so that you will be able to see the URL and how the things will go in the TechForAllWithPriya .com website. Okay, so bye bye everyone, and I'll see you all very soon in the upcoming videos.